Hello, my name is Desiree Spatz, and this is a presentation on my favorite part of the brain. The three reasons the hippocampus is my favorite brain structure is one, I damaged my hippocampus in a car accident when I was 9 years old. I find it to be one of the more important brain structures that we have, and because it is primarily associated with memory, and memories are very important to me, that is the one that I chose for this presentation today. So, what is the hippocampus? Right now, as it says here, it is a brain structure that is deeply placed in the medial temporal lobe on each cerebral cortex. It's kind of shaped like an S in the brain, and it is an important part of the limbic system, regulating our emotions, memory, learning, and even our motivation. So, why exactly is this important? Well, the hippocampus is involved in storing our long-term memories, and it plays a really important role in our parietal processing and navigation. Also, with our goal-directed behaviors, like I said, like motivation. Um, Different subregions, even of the hippocampus, can play different roles in certain types of memory, and it is one of the few areas in our brain that they have found new brain nerve cells to produce. So how exactly does this affect our memory? Well, it helps to process and retrieve declarative and sporadic memories. Sporadic memories are stored on the right side of the hippocampus and are used when you say you're learning a new route on the roads or you're trying to get out of a maze. Declarative memories deal with facts and events in our life, like memorizing the lyrics to your favorite song. And our short-term memories are turned into long-term memories in our hippocampus. It's kind of like the decider of what memories we get to keep and what we don't, long-term wise. It also connects these memories with certain sensations and emotions. So say when you smell a certain scent or fragrance and it reminds you of like a certain person or a certain memory, that is your hippocampus at play. And even certain regions of this part of the brain play different roles. Like the rear region of our hippocampus, researchers found out that it is mostly involved with our sporadic memory processing. So in London, they did this study on cab drivers who drive, routes daily for work, and the more complicated routes that these cab drivers took, it showed a development, like a growth development in that region of their hippocampus in particular. So that's kind of connected. They're doing studies on different regions, and that's important when we go into damages to the hippocampus because when you damage certain areas of the hippocampus, it can affect it differently depending on where it was damaged at. Damages to the hippocampus are very fatal, or can be, depending on exactly where they were, and it can cause some serious long-term effects to our memory. The impact of damage varies depending on, where it was affected, and age can also affect the hippocampus in the way that it functions. Studies found that the hippocampus shrinks about 13% from the age 30 to 80, so about a 50-year span, and it shrinks roughly 13%. And the degeneration of these cells in our hippocampus can also be linked to the onset of Alzheimer's disease, which is a very disease. And here I have a little image for us. In these red regions here is where patients with Alzheimer's disease, you can see this is where the hippocampus lies in the brain, and it is a lot smaller than this brain to the right, or exhibit B. It's a very larger hippocampus. So that's just a little image there for you. The illnesses, like I said, shown in that image was a brain with Alzheimer's disease and one that was healthy. The hippocampus is usually the first area to be affected by Alzheimer's disease, and it shrinks the size of it very, very dramatically. Early symptoms of Alzheimer's can be anything from like confusion when trying to follow directions, or short-term memory loss. Other illnesses like epilepsy or depression, even stress, have been correlated with the hippocampus, like whether it's because of damage to that area of the brain, or that these illnesses are just a contributing factor that have negatively affected the hippocampus. And then just some fun facts and some things to recap on. The word hippocampus is derived from the Greek word hippocampus, hippos meaning horse and campus meaning sea monster. In a lot of the research I did, they related the shape of the hippocampus to like an S shape or the shape of like a seahorse. The hippocampus also, reminder, it does not store our long-term memories. It just decides what gets to be stored as a long-term memory. And it is also known for strengthening our memories during sleep. So I thought that was kind of fun fact. And then just to kind of recap on some things, there are two main interlocking parts of the hippocampus. We have the hippocampus proper and the ditent gyrus. And it is located, again, in the medial temporal lobe of our brain, so like in the middle of the temporal lobe. And it is small and curve-shaped, like we said, and it helps determine what short-term memories become long-term. Damage to the left side of the hippocampus can affect the recall of verbal information, and damage to the right hippocampus can affect visual information and how we perceive that. And then here are just my works cited from some articles and websites.